Was this a Damascene moment that the Europeans have said, actually, a primary surplus is something at that level that we should seek to adjust? How important is that for Greece? Good morning.
Good morning. We're coming out, if you like, from one of the most difficult crises that the country has had without having had a war. We lost about 25 to 27% of our GDP, and we need to grow back with much stronger and higher velocity rates than we're doing right now. Right now we're growing with 1 or 2% of GDP, and it's about 2-3 years that we're going through those percentages increases. So a primary surplus would not necessarily allow for that adjustment to take place, and a reduction would be absolutely necessary.
Elena, good to speak to you this morning. Is the Eurozone in a better position now for the next crisis?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the Eurozone needs to adjust a lot in understanding how to handle basically a fixed currency with 18 other countries that have their own mind, and every time they wish to make a decision of reform, they choose to throw it to their public and call it a democracy. You can't necessarily run macroeconomic development or macroeconomic central bank policies through populist opinions and votes of that sort.
Elena, hold those thoughts. Let's bring in our guest host on the markets. It is Michael Metcalfe from State Street. Michael, if Mario Draghi's rally call, battle cry, was to do whatever it takes, what should Christine Lagarde's battle cry be? Should it be act now to government, or what is your supposition it will be?
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with a lot of what Elena said. Is that you know the reality is that the ECB has actually done whatever it takes, and I think the fear and question today is, what more can they actually do? And it really does need, right now, the European growth problem has not gone away, and so it's just crying out for fiscal stimulus.
Elena, to pick up then on Christine Lagarde as well, you think that she definitely needs to move out of the box or prove her ability to be able to do that. What would moving out of the box in today's context be?
Well, it's a bit of a trap. She's in a position where she can't really do very much because we've heard for about 10 years how rule-based everything is. So since there is no rule right now of how to handle an overly crowded, in terms of excess reserves, economy of 18 countries, we don't really know how to stimulate demand in investment loan and lending, and we have proven that we don't know how to do that, because from 2008 until 2016, I think, we've had zero growth for the whole Eurozone, and only recently we start having growth in the Eurozone. And now the fact that we have a slow, sluggish demand in the lending of investing and so on, again, we don't look at ourselves as an issue, but we're saying that it's a trade war, the problem, which it may be, but there are also a lot of reforms that need to happen within each nation for modernizing their industrial base.
Well, the big criticism is perhaps nations did not reform quickly enough. You say the problem 10 years ago, the diagnosis was a liquidity crisis treated with austerity. What is the risk of groupthink now and policy error that we go for more rate cuts and more QE?
Well, we cannot go, Greece cannot get into more QE because we are 2 notches below investment rate, so we can't get into QE. But even the ECB cannot continue for more QE because for more than a year, because it reached its limits of how many bonds, 20 billion bonds per year, per month they can purchase. So they got to that limit of their own. So now Ms. Lagarde needs to figure out how she can generate innovative economic policy that will stimulate demand and will stimulate investment in each of these national countries, along with the Commission's work that needs to continue regarding fiscal adjustment and fiscal consolidation of the Union. So I think there is more of a need of a strong leader in the ECB that will be depending on taking risks. We're not really known in Europe for taking risks, and no leader of these organizations and institutions have ever taken risks. Mr. Draghi has been the best we've had in terms of trying as much as possible to push the limits, but not really moving out of the limits. Now Ms. Lagarde has to actually move out of the limits. Will she be able to do it? I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Michael,
I will hope she will.
Michael, very brief final thought. You said the ECB's done whatever it takes. Will fiscal pick up the baton?
I think the rules will need to change for that to happen. But the economic pressure to do it is clearly there.